All right, we are live. NFL Week 15 preview. As always, just going to go ahead and tweet the link out, wait for a couple people to get here. So if you are watching after the fact, I'd recommend probably skipping to the minute 30 mark would be my recommendation. We're going to start with Commander Saints. It is Marshawn Lattimore's first game as a Commander, which is also against his former team. So, like I said, just going to go ahead and tweet the link out, and let's go ahead and get this bad boy rolling. And we have T Lightning, first one in the chat. Happy Friday, man. Joey says, Garrett, what's up? What's up? How are we doing, everybody? Let's go ahead and tweet out that we are live. NFL Week 15 preview. All right, guys, there is a lot to discuss this week. There are a lot of great games that I'm really looking forward to. And after this, we have Phone Down, and there we go. All right, Phone Down. All right. What's up? What's up? How we doing? This game, I hate my life Steelers in the mud. It's gonna be a great game. I'm actually really looking forward to it. And we'll get to that. We will get to that. Last night's game was also not ideal. That was not the best one for sure. But let's go ahead and dive in here. Here we go. Commanders, Saints. I have to be honest, guys. This is a tough one here for the Saints. Jake Haener is starting. The Commanders are off a bye, and the Commanders are sniffing the offs. They're sniffing the playoffs. They are fourth in points per game this year. They had a really good bounce back game right before the bye. I don't have too much to say about this game, just in the fact that I think the Commanders are going to win. They're favored by over a touchdown for a reason. The Saints are just they're 5-8 for a reason. They're not a very good football team, and when you have the Commanders coming off of a bye, I just want to go ahead and pull up a couple of notes here for the Saints. They won last week 14-11 over the Giants in what was, without a doubt, one of the ugliest games in all of 2024. It was definitely one of the games played of the 2024 regular season. Even though they are technically coming off a win, I don't think there should be any takeaways from that game for the Saints. They are, other than they are not a good team. Derek Carr is out in this game. Jake Haener is starting, and whether the starter is Jake Haener or Spencer Rattler, especially against a team coming off a bye that needs a win, really in the worst way, because the Commanders, not that they're going to miss the playoffs entirely if they lose this game, because that's not the case, but there's a lot more going for the Commanders than there is the Saints. It is worth noting that I think one of the Commanders receivers is out in this game. I think it is Noah Brown. And there's not a lot going into this game for the Saints. I would imagine we all feel the same way about this. Let's see. I have Saints somehow beating Commanders. Let's go. Finally made one of these lives. That's what's up. Commanders by 1,000. I finally made one on time. Let's go, David. That's awesome. Let's see here. All right, let's go on. Let's go ahead and go on to the next one. I think the Commanders are going to win. I just don't think the Saints have a lot going for them. I think they are not a good team. Shout out Brian Brzee from last week. That was a tremendous play that he had at the end, but no Chris Olave. They're going to have Marcus Valdes-Scantling with Jake Haener really play at the level that he was for those couple of weeks and really have a great game, and I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Commanders win this one, maybe by double digits. Give me Washington off the bye and to improve to 9-5, and what's been a tremendous year for the Washington Commanders. And let's go ahead and go to another just great game here. It's not often you see a 16-point spread in an NFL game, but for good reason with this one. Let's see here. I never make it for lives. Let's go. Highest quality football content. I appreciate that more than you know, Tyler. Glad you're here. You're feeling better. We are feeling better. Ryan, appreciate the super chat. Glad I finally made one of these Birds versus Vikings playoffs. I'll discuss the Vikings playoff scenarios later. For the Vikings playoff scenarios and where I stand with those, obviously you guys know I am a Vikings fan. It's going to sound like loser talk, I'll be honest, but I would not want to play the Eagles in the playoffs. That would be the worst matchup nightmare for the Vikings just because of how big and how dominant the Eagles offensive line is. If I were Kellen Moore in that game, if the Eagles play the Vikings, I would just run Saquon into the ground. Saquon, buddy, you're getting 35 carries. We're going to ride you to victory. You are going to run behind Mekhi Becton and Lane Johnson all game until the Vikings prove they can stop us, because the Vikings are nowhere near where the Eagles are like strength-wise in the trenches, at least from a physicality standpoint. Taylor, appreciate the super chat. 20th super on a stream, appreciate that. Do we think the Panthers are developing, or are these last few games just flukes? I think Bryce has looked so much better. Definitely developing, and we'll get to that. They're actually the next game. Actually, I'll tell you what, Taylor, for that super chat, we will come back to the Ravens-Giants in a second. Let's just go ahead and go with the Panthers Cowboys real fast because of that super chat. So with the Cowboys Panthers, there's a lot that has to be kind of discussed with each team. The Cowboys rushing defense is obviously atrocious, and the Panthers is too for a couple of reasons. Having Derek Brown, who actually set a record last year. He set the record for most tackles by a defensive tackle ever in a season last year. Whenever you have that type of impact out, because Derek Brown is out for the year, naturally that's going to mess a lot of things up. And whenever you have, it's not quite the same, but imagine if the Rams, in the prime of Aaron Donald's career, lost Aaron Donald. Not the same impact, but that type of, you get what I'm saying. Again, not the same impact, but it's a big player right in the middle of the defense gone. That is not replaceable for the Carolina Panthers. Again, Derek Brown's not the caliber, but you get the point that I'm making. So both run defenses in this game are very bad. I actually think it's going to be pretty low scoring, but when push comes to shove, the Panthers obviously have not won a lot of games recently, and I do think they are going to win this game against the Cowboys. I trust Bryce Young more than I trust Cooper Rush, and Bryce has played a lot better recently, and I made a video a couple of weeks ago about the Panthers' future being one of the worst in the league. It was about a month ago. It was at a point where they weren't going back to Bryce quite yet, but Bryce has played great, and I didn't think there was a scenario where, okay, we bench Bryce, now we're going to go back to Bryce, but he's looked really good, and I actually, from what we've seen over the past few weeks, they have played a lot better. And whether it's, Adam Thielen, who's still kind of finding that fountain of youth at times, he's been a bigger priority in the passing game. Xavier Legette's drops concern me at times, but they weren't a big problem at South Carolina, so I think Xavier Legette will get that figured out. Jay Coker, of course, has a very unique fan base name. If you know, you know. And I like what the Panthers have going. I wish Jonathan Brooks the best in recovery. That was one of the worst things about the game that we love is injury is the worst part about the game we love. There's just not a lot to say. He tore his ACL in November of last year. His second or third game back this year, tears his ACL again. You wish him the best. I like Jatavian Sanders a lot. I like the Panthers' future a lot. Ultimately, I'm going to go with the Panthers in this one, and I'm eager to see where the chat stands on this. Let's see here. What's up, Nick? How we doing? Panthers being favored is crazy. It's their first time being favored in nearly 2 years, which I thought was pretty wild. They were not favored at all during Bryce Young's rookie season. So, first time since Bryce Young and CJ Stroud and the entire 2023 draft class was in college. Puka Nacua was at Brigham Young University the last time this team was favored. So give me the Panthers, but we are going to go back to the Ravens-Giants. We did not discuss that game. This one's going to be pretty quick, though, because actually a quick super chat from Nick. Last time the Steelers beat the Eagles in Philly, we had to put a man on the moon. That's actually wild. Is that true? Like, is that confirmed? I didn't see that fact. I'm guessing that's crazy though. That is actually really, really crazy. But here we go. We appreciate the super chat, Nick. Appreciate the super chat, Nick, by the way. And I actually can't wait to discuss the Battle of the Keystone here in a minute. Now, if you guys are enjoying, please drop a like. Right now we're at 18. Let's go ahead and get up to 50. Let's get up to 50. I hope everybody is having a phenomenal Friday. I'm having a great Friday. I actually got a haircut today. Got the once a month cut. I actually, if you guys want to use this line, you can use this one in the future. Did not get a haircut, just dyed the tips invisible. Just a classic there if you're interested in using that one. But anyway, we got the fresh cut this morning. But look, here's Ravens Giants, guys. The Giants they're a bad football team. They are a bad football team. They don't have Andrew Thomas, they don't have Dexter Lawrence. They're 2-11 for a reason. This team is one of the 2 worst teams in the NFL. The only other team to give them a run for their money at this point is the Raiders. There's a reason that the Ravens are favored by 16 points. Baltimore is coming off of a bye week, and Baltimore is a really, really good football team. They are also coming off of a loss before the bye week. This is, if you are doing any of those polls in terms of you do the 1 point for the less confident, 16 points for the most confident, I would put the Ravens at 16 this week. The Ravens are, this is the definition of a team that is now or never. They're also big Eagles fans this week because the Eagles play the Steelers this week and then next week against the Steelers, which is Ravens-Steelers next week. That game could be for the division. So Ravens are going to roll in this one. Derrick Henry, I would be very surprised if he doesn't score a touchdown in this game. I think the Ravens roll. I don't have a lot of confidence in Tommy DeVito. The one thing that I will be eager to see with the Ravens is how they choose to defend Malik Neighbors, just because Malik can take over any game at any point, although Malik Neighbors in this game is kind of the car in the garage in the bad area meme. That's what Malik Neighbors is in this game for the Giants. And Tyrone Tracy for that matter too, and I guess you could go a couple of other players like Drew Phillips for that matter. The Ravens are going to roll. The Ravens are going to roll in this one. It's not a good outlook here for the Giants in this game. There's not a lot to say. I would be pretty surprised if the Ravens don't win by at least 2 touchdowns. The spread is 16 points for a reason. If the Ravens commit 0 turnovers, they win. That's the bottom line for this game. As we know, the Giants are a very bad football team. They're also down several players. And when you combine both of those with a head coach that may get fired because there's a real chance that the Giants go 2-15, you're going to see the result Sunday, especially getting a Ravens team off a bye week. There's not a whole lot to say about that one. So let's go ahead and go to the next game, which is Jets-Jags. Here's a good one. You love this comment here. My wife's boyfriend is a Ravens fan. That's a good call. Good call there. Yeah, good. I like that. Looking fresh. Appreciate it, Daniel. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Do you think it's possible the Texans can get back on track this season, or is it just get to the end and go again next season? Long answer. It's a lot more complex than just yes or no. I don't think they're going to this year. I actually have a video coming out on the AFC South tomorrow, little spoiler. And the AFC South right now as a whole frustrates me. The Texans are kind of a part of that, just a lack of execution this year. And we'll get to more of that in a minute, but I don't think the Texans are going to regarding the rest of this season. All right, been a Texans fan since David Carr. I know what pure pain feels like. I'm sure you do, especially in that scenario. All right. We have a battle of 3-10 teams, which obviously makes their combined record 6-20. Jets favored by 3.5. I think the Jets being favored by 3.5 points says something about where the Jags are. Here's kind of my thoughts with the Jags. I would be very, very surprised if they win 2 games in a row, especially with Doug Peterson fired but not fired. I think everybody knows that he is gone in 4 weeks. And Mac Jones has a chance to set a record. Mac Jones right now has 5 straight games with 0 passing touchdowns, and this is when he starts. 0 passing touchdowns and 1 interception. If Mac Jones makes it the 6th game, he will tie a record. And, guys, they won last week 10-6 over the Titans. Neither the Jags or Titans at this point are good. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence going down has a lot to do with that for the Jags. But the thing that has to be remembered before the Azeez Al-Shaair hit was the Jags were not a good team prior to that injury. The Jets at this point, I saw a tweet that there is a chance that, or there is that Breece Hall is intending to play in this game, and I don't like that for a couple of reasons. This season is obviously gone. They have a losing record. They're already eliminated from the playoffs. Obviously football is a violent game. I don't understand why you would play Breece Hall in this game, but he's going to play. I respect the commitment to the craft from Breece Hall, unlike Devondre Campbell. If you guys saw that last night, Devondre Campbell just straight up said he was not going to play last night, which was a choice. But ultimately, I think the Jets are a more talented team than the Jags. I think they are going to win. I would not feel comfortable placing actual dollars that I worked for on the Jets to win this game, but somebody has to win. I don't think they're going to tie. I think the Jets will win. But what I will also say for the Jags is if they can get the screens going, if they can get Brian Thomas the football, if they can consistently get the ball in Tank Bigsby and Brian Thomas's hands, they absolutely have a shot. The Jets are not going to beat them by 20-plus points, at least I don't think. I think the recipe for the Jags offensively should be to get the ball out fast, get the ball in your playmakers' hands, and let the rest happen. The Jags are a very frustrating team. I have a lot of just concerns and frustration with what they've done over the past couple of years, and the Jets for that matter too. But I think the Jets are going to win this one. I think it's definitely going to be an interesting game, but I am going to go with the Jets here. All right, let's go to Bengals, Titans. And there's a couple super chats. SBD, appreciate it. Let's see here. Do you think the 15 victories curse is going to be broken this year? We still have 4 teams on the way to 15-2. The Vikings will not go 15-2. I'll just go ahead and say that. 3 of their final 4 games are against Seattle, Green Bay, and Detroit. They will almost certainly lose one of those. So is the 15, I'm actually unfamiliar with this. Would this be like a 15 victory Super Bowl? If that's, or are you just saying 15 victories in general? I don't know where we're going with that one. The Chiefs, I think, can get 15 wins. I know they have a very tough end of their schedule. The Eagles are at 11-2. They have the Steelers, Commanders, Cowboys, and Giants. So the Eagles can easily get 15 wins. Will they, of course, is something else, but they have a favorable schedule if they can beat the Steelers this week. And then Detroit can absolutely get 15 wins as well because they're a very, very difficult team to beat. I think the curse can be broken though. If it is win a Super Bowl, because I think Detroit can win 15 games, I think they can win the Super Bowl. So it absolutely can. If I had to say right now if it will be, I'll say yeah. I'll say yes, it would be. And then Taylor super chat, what do you think the top 7 through 10 draft order will be? Oh, that's an entire video topic right now, because right now, guys, there are 8 teams in the NFL, a quarter of the league, with 3 wins or less. So there is a ton of draft implications over the next couple weeks. For anybody that doesn't pay attention to the draft till January, I would recommend starting to pay attention to the draft now, because a team selecting number 1 overall, if they win even a game, they could be going down to number 8 or 9 overall, just with how the schedule is right now. It's definitely an interesting couple of weeks, for sure. Definitely an interesting couple of weeks. 15 victories, Super Bowl, yes, I think that will be broke. Do I think the Titans are going to draft a quarterback? We'll discuss that here in a second. But the thing with the Bengals here, look, guys, the Titans are, to me, one, I think they are, I would say, aside from the Jets, just because of all of the preseason hype, and I played a part in the preseason hype. I thought the Jets were going to be a good team this year. I thought they were going to go to the playoffs. I don't want to hide from something that I was wrong about. But in terms of overall expectations heading into the season, I thought the Titans could have been a 7-10, 8-9 team. 9-8 was always going to be tough, but they have talent. They have a lot of talent. And I just think the Titans are an incredibly underachieving team with the talent that they have on the roster. And I don't see any way they beat the Bengals in this game. The Titans have put up 25 total points over the last 2 games. I know Cincinnati's defense is terrible, but guys, this Titans team last week put up 272 total yards. They put up 6 total points against the Jags and lost at home, and they're 3-10. I worry about the Titans' future a lot. And we break this down in a video that will be released tomorrow discussing the AFC South. But I don't just worry about Will Levis's future as a Titan. I think Will Levis shows flashes at times where he can have that Sam Darnold type, resurrection in a couple years, or that resurgence in a couple years where he could be a guy on another team. I firmly believe that. But with Tennessee, I don't think it's ever going to happen. Tennessee they have a hole at really the entire right side of the line, the receiving room, the tight end room, the quarterback. I mean, if there's 11 positions on the offense, there's 11 positions on offense, I would say Tennessee needs to fix at least 5 of those this offseason, if not 6. And I also think we're in a dangerous position with the Titans because they're probably going to be a bad team again next year. And even in the best case, what are they going to do next year? Go 6-11? Maybe 7-10? We'd be talking about a head coach that would probably be maybe 11-23 through 2 years in Brian Callahan. And then what if they draft a quarterback this year? What if they draft a quarterback this year and he doesn't, not that he doesn't work out, but they're going to have a bad record if they draft a quarterback. And then at that point, Brian Callahan would probably be 11-23 through 2 years. You'd probably have to fire him and go with somebody else. The Titans' future scares me a lot because I don't see a way to success within the next year or two with the Titans. It's going to take a CJ Stroud type rookie season where the whole organization gets lifted up. I worry about the Titans' future a lot right now. The Bengals, they're 5-8. Again, technically still alive. This is very much a playoff game for them. And if you ask me the simple question, who are you going to trust more when the season is on the line? Joe Burrow or Will Levis, especially with as many holes as the Titans have, the Bengals are going to win this game, guys. The Bengals are going to win this game. They're going to win. They are. I mean, unless Joe Burrow just has the worst game of the year, 3-4 interceptions, the Bengals are going to win this one. All right, let's see here. Aziz and Harris will be one of the best linebacker duos in the league. All right, what are we talking about? Christian Harris? What are we talking about? Let's see here. Do I think the Titans are going to draft a quarterback? I kind of hope not. The thing is they're just in a bad situation because I would imagine Shador and Cam go number 1 overall, or number 1 and 2 overall. And then I think you have to talk about, okay, well, if they're 1 and 2, do the Titans draft Drew Aller? And then I think you have to ask the question, how much different is Drew Aller from Will Levis at this point? Drew Aller, if he comes in next year to Tennessee, if he goes to Nashville and is expected to save the franchise in year 1 from day 1, that is a recipe to fail Drew Aller from day 1. Drew Aller is very much a project quarterback, but he's a lot of intangibles, and Drew has shown enough flashes on tape to where he will be a round 1 quarterback. I like Drew Aller a lot. I think he can break the Penn State quarterback mold. I really do. But situation for him, more so than a lot of other players. I mean, quarterbacks, like, you can't just say, hey, Caleb Williams, go to the 2002 Texans with Derek Carr, get sacked 80 times, and then figure, or David Carr, and then figure it out. Situation obviously matters for every quarterback, but situation really matters for Drew Aller. But let's go ahead and go to Chiefs Browns. And if you guys are enjoying, please drop a like, helps the stream tremendously. And let's get it up to 75. Hopefully everybody's enjoying. And here we go, Chiefs Browns. All right. This is a big one for a couple of reasons, just making sure I'm not missing anybody that is out at this point. But right now, Cedric Tillman is out, and I'm pretty sure David Njoku is not expected to play. So with this, I think there would be a good chance if Njoku was playing or if Cedric Tillman was playing that the Chiefs would lose this game. The Chiefs have obviously been in several tight games recently, and it wasn't enough last week for the Chiefs to beat the Chargers to, sweep a division rival. They had to, it had to be a doink in. It couldn't have been just a normal field goal. It couldn't have been a take a knee to win. It had to be a doink in and just Chiefs dramatic fashion, right? But the Chiefs have one loss in the year, which was a couple weeks ago against Buffalo. They have their last 3 games, they have a point difference of 7, which were wins over the Panthers, Raiders, and Chargers. The Browns are an electric offense, and the Chiefs have a lot of struggles up front, specifically at the left tackle position. DJ Humphries had a hamstring injury last week. I'm pretty sure Wanya Morris is starting this week for the Kansas City Chiefs, and there's a real chance that Myles Garrett takes over this game and dominates this game. But I think the Chiefs defense is going to step up. They've allowed 17 points in back-to-back weeks. I think this is going to be a lower scoring game. I would feel a lot more comfortable if the Browns had another weapon with Njoku or with Cedric Tillman. But what I would imagine the Chiefs' game plan in this game is going to be to stick Trent McDuffie on Jerry Jeudy, who he's obviously familiar with, given Judy's previous history in Denver, and then just have him in a mega concept all game, which stands for man everywhere he goes. Basically, just cover Jerry Jeudy because Trent McDuffie can play anywhere, inside, outside. He can flip the field. It doesn't matter. Trent McDuffie's in elite corner, so you can effectively take Jeudy. I mean, he's gonna get a couple receptions, but you can limit him by doing that, and then focus your energy elsewhere. And I don't think the Browns are going to put up that many points against the Chiefs defense. I would have a bold prediction if they had Njoku, if they had Cedric Tillman, that I think the 3-10 Browns would beat the 12-1 Chiefs. The Browns are unfortunately coming off of a 27-14 loss in Pittsburgh. They turned the ball over multiple times in that game. That was the true Jameis Winston experience with the interception to the defensive lineman Keanu Benton, and then he had a big touchdown to Jerry Jeudy within that game. I'm going to go with the Chiefs in this one. Let's see here. I'm curious where do you guys stand on this one? I'm going to put up a poll for this one. I think this is. I mean, it's going to be a close game, by the way. I don't want it to be a takeaway of that it's not going to be a close game. But I think I am going to go with the Chiefs to win this one. All right, let's see what the chat is saying. All right, let's see here. Windy and rainy forecast in Cleveland. Jameis delivers us from pick sixes. All right, let's see here. D. Scott, no love for Kerry Collins. Kerry Collins way back in the day. Obviously, I do not have a lot of memories of Kerry Collins playing. I remember him with the 2008 Titans, and that is about it. I know Kerry Collins back, like, when he retired, he was like top 10 in a lot of passing categories. But D. Scott, unfortunately, it's more of like recent, where it's like Christian Hackenberg, Trace McSorley, and Will Levis kind of plays a part in the Penn State because he went there. But that would be, the Kerry Collins would just be a little before my time. But he was definitely good in his day. I do know that. All right, let's go ahead and go to Dolphins Texans. Myles Garrett is going to destroy those tackles. I agree. I think that and he could easily take over the game. He could definitely take over the game. Let's see here. Steelers never need the Browns. 3 seed is fine. All right, Steelers ruled out wide receiver George Pickens due to hamstring. That was expected. That just came from Adam Schefter. All right, we are here with Dolphins Texans. The Dolphins are 6-7, and they squeaked out a win last week over the Jets, and that was by the definition of like just pulling a win through their teeth. That was as close as it possibly could have got for the Dolphins. And quietly, the Dolphins have won 4 of 5. The Texans are without Azeez Al-Shaair due to suspension, and the Dolphins have a path to the postseason. They play at Houston. This is the tough part of their schedule, though. Or this is a tougher part, or tougher end. At Houston, home against San Francisco, at Cleveland, at the Jets. 3 out of 4 road games to end the year is not ideal for anybody. Whether you're the Dolphins, whether you're the Lions, it doesn't matter. It's not ideal. And I have to be honest, I am very concerned with the Dolphins' run game right now. The last time they ran for over 100 yards as a team was all the way back in week 9. I mean, guys, it's been close to a month and a half since they've ran for 100 yards as a team. It was November 3rd, and it was at Buffalo. And granted, they've went 4-1 in this stretch, but winning at Houston is not going to be an easy game. And this is going to be one of the closer games of the week. I know there's a lot of good games that we're going to get to in a minute. This is actually the final 1 o'clock game that we're going over. But the Texans to me have been one of the most frustrating teams all year, and I guess that's just kind of an AFC South thing with the Titans as well. The Texans are coming off they're coming off their bye week, and before their bye week, they beat the Jags 23-20, which was the Azeez Al-Shaair game. The Texans, their best win this year is definitely the Bills, but after that, I mean, they do not have really an impressive win after the Bills. I mean, we're talking a sweep of the Colts. We're talking at New England, which was in London, by the way. We're talking Chicago, in which Caleb was sacked 7 or 8 times. The Jags, the Cowboys, which was not with Dak Prescott. This, to me, is a game where one of these teams are going to go to the postseason, and I think whichever team goes to the postseason is going to be a first-round exit. I am not impressed with either team. The thing that the Dolphins can really do in this game is they can get Tyreek Hill going. They can use crossers to beat the Texans over the middle with the backup linebackers. Will they is something else. I'm eager to see how they attack the Texans defense in this game. I don't have a lot of confidence in either team, and I would be curious to see where the chat stands. Texans are looking like a first-round exit. They absolutely are. Let's see here. Both mid, I fear. I'm not a big fan of the mid, like, usage of the word mid, but they are. They're neither team is great. Drastic scenario, gun to your head, drastic scenario. I think I'd go with Miami to win this one, but I think this is not going to be, it's going to be an interesting game. I'll leave it at that. But I think I'm going to go with Miami, like 24-21. I'm eager to see how each team chooses to game plan, specifically. And the Texans right now, they have, Joe Mixon's had a really solid year. He's had a really good bounce back year. But the Dolphins need to get the run game going if they have any chance to do anything. Which I'll be honest, I don't think they're going to do anything. But I'm gonna go with the Texans to win this one. Or excuse me, I'm gonna go with the Dolphins to win this one. Drastic scenario. Can the Colts win the South? They can. And they're gonna have to beat Denver this week, which is gonna be tough. But Colts are obviously big Dolphins fans. I don't think they're going to win the South. They can. I just don't think they're going to. All right. Let's see here. Patriots Cardinals. This game here is definitely going to be, obviously, I mean, with the Patriots, it's watch Drake May, obviously, from here on out. But with the Cardinals at a point, I know they're 6-7 now. They were 6-4 a couple of weeks ago. And they lost to the Seahawks, in which they put up just 6 points. They lost to the Vikings, in which they blew a double-digit lead in the second half. And then last week, they lost to the Seahawks for the second time in 3 weeks, in which Kyler Murray threw 2 interceptions in the first quarter. The Cardinals, in theory, I mean, the Seahawks are 8-5, so they're 2 games ahead of them, and they own the tiebreaker. They're technically alive, but this to me is just 2 non-playoff teams going at it. What I'm after in this game is to see the continued development of Drake May. Hopefully, he can still play at the level that he's been playing at over the past couple of weeks. That is all that matters for the Patriots at this point. They had a 400-yard game a couple of weeks ago and before their Week 14 bye. The Patriots have lost 4 of 5. Their lone win was the win over the Bears back in Week 10. But if you can get another 350, 375-yard plus offensive performance, if you can put up 20 points on the road, and if you can look good out of your bye week, that's what matters for New England at this point. The thing with the Cardinals is there was a point where they were an overachieving team. Now, with 3 straight losses, that kind of effectively knocked them out of the playoffs, and especially given that 2 of those losses were to Seattle. What you're hoping for here is to win, and you are also hoping for you're hoping for the Seahawks to lose to the Packers and to get a lot more help. So this is very much from here on out for the Cardinals. Pretty much every game is a playoff game, because if they finish 10-7, that still might not be good enough to get to the postseason. We'll see how it all plays out. But every game from here on out for Arizona is a playoff game. For the Patriots, the keys are keeping Drake May healthy, looking good in the process, putting up 20 points, putting up 370 yards of offense, and going from there. Because obviously you're not going to make the playoffs at 7-10. They're eliminated. They're done. Progress Drake May. And for the Cardinals, you're coming off 3 losses. You haven't won since November 10th. It's been over a month since you've experienced a win. Beat a bad team and move on and get back to 500. All right, let's go to Bucs Chargers. All right, is Mayo legit on the hot seat? I would think he is. I don't know how you could. I don't know why you would legitimately believe in Gerard at this point. They're 3-10. The roster is obviously not good. And do you want Gerard Mayo being the head coach for your rookie quarterback, for your quarterback on the rookie contract? I personally wouldn't. I'd rather have an offensive guy and have them grow together. That's where I would stand on that. But I mean, I think he should be in the hot seat. But the thing is he's basically been New England's next head coach for the past 4 or 5 years. So how would that look if they fired him after year 1? It's something to think about. All right, let's see here. Finally made a live. Did we talk about the Panthers Cowboys? We did. Appreciate you being here. Let's see here. I could see Higgins and Hunter in New England. I could that would make a lot of sense. That would make a lot of sense. All right, let's see here. Someone saved CJ Stroud. My favorite prospect in the 25 draft. I don't have a favorite prospect. There's a lot of guys I like. I really like Abdul Carter. I really like Jay Higgins from Iowa. He's a really underrated linebacker prospect. I really, really like him. And there's also the kid from Maryland, Ty Felton. Ty Felton. Yes, I like him a lot. Ben Johnson to the Pats. I just don't think Ben Johnson would go. If you were Ben Johnson, why would you leave Detroit for the job in New England? I wouldn't. So I'd be really surprised if he took that job. Bucs Chargers. Chargers are favored by 3. They're 8-5. The Bucs are 7-6. And what you also have to be, concerned about for the Bucs at this point is you are up 1 game on Atlanta, but Atlanta plays the Raiders on Monday night. And I know Atlanta's been reeling recently, but I would be surprised if Atlanta doesn't beat the Raiders on Monday night. So here's the big thing with the Bucs and what you have to look at for Tampa is they won last week. They beat the Raiders. Again, a very, very bad team. After the Chargers this week for Tampa, they play at Dallas, home against Carolina, and then home against the Saints. They can finish the year 10-7 if they lose this game. Now, you don't want to go into this game with the mindset of, all right, we can drop 1. You do not want to have to rely on other teams beating the Falcons. Therefore, I think this is kind of a playoff game for the Bucs. They have won 3 straight games. Since their bye week, they are 3-0. And granted, they beat teams like the Giants, the Panthers, and the Raiders. 3 of the worst teams in the league. And it took the Panthers to overtime. But the Bucs have put up over 420 yards of offense in each of the past 3 games. They put up 26 or more points in each of the past 3 games. And they are playing a Joe Minter-led defense. Now, unfortunately, for each of these fan bases, obviously, when you think of like the loud fan bases of the NFL, typically you don't think of the Chargers and Bucs. You don't think of a person in a creamsicle jersey yelling and screaming the way you would other fan bases. I'm not going to say which fan bases. You guys can probably think about which fan bases. But this is a really, really good game for these teams. And because this is a near playoff game for each team. And this is going to be one that I can't wait to watch the tape on later next week, after this game is played, after the tape is released. I can't wait to see how Liam Cohen tried to attack Jesse Minter, how Jesse Minter tried to attack Liam Cohen. This is going to be a really good game. And this is one that is definitely... Did I say Joe Minter? I meant Jesse Minter if I said Joe Minter. Sorry. Anyway, we're going to put up a poll for this one because this is one of my favorite games of the week. It's a playoff game for both teams. Bucs are hot. Chargers are coming off of a loss to Kansas City. Let's go ahead and put the poll up here. But if I had to pick a winner for this game, I think I am going to go with the Chargers. The Bucs I still think would pick the Bucs to win the NFC South. I still think they will win the NFC South. But if it came hell or high water, I think I would choose the Chargers over the Bucs. And I still think Tampa will get to the playoffs. I still think they are a team that nobody's going to want to play. I think they will enter the postseason winning 6 of their final 7 games because I do think they will beat Dallas in Week 16. I think they'll beat Carolina in Week 17. And I think they'll beat the Panthers in Week 18. So I think with Tampa this week, it's a tough game. It's a really tough game to fly cross country. It's no doubt going to be a very, very tough battle in LA. But I trust Joe Minter and the Chargers. Joe Minter, I did it again. Sorry, I did it again. You guys are right. I did it again. I trust Jesse Minter. And the Chargers defense more than I trust Liam Cohen and the Bucs offense at this point. Bucs win 20-17. I could see it. I just think the Chargers are going to win. And apologies to Jesse Minter. I don't know why I said Joe Minter. I don't know what Joe I have in my mind. I did it again. I know. I'm sorry. Dolphins are sneaking into the playoffs and upsetting the Bills. I mean, do you believe, like, if you think that, go for it. Go for it. Bills, let's see here. I keep seeing LAC and keep thinking Los Angeles Clippers. Let's see here. What's up? Not how we doing? Can I do a quick Coach of the Year take? I think it's between 3 guys right now. I think it would have to be between Dan Campbell, Kevin O'Connell, and Mike Tomlin. And the take for me that it boils down to, or the main thing for me, Daniel, appreciate gifting 5 memberships. That's what's up. Appreciate it. But to go for the Coach of the Year, I look at it as, and people are going to say you're biased, whatever, but when you look at Kevin O'Connell taking a Sam Darnold-led team to 11-2 with Darnold playing at an MVP level, I don't know how that's not your Coach of the Year. That's where I stand on that. But appreciate Daniel, appreciate the 5 memberships. That is what's up. All right, honestly, giving it to Kevin. That's where I stand for. Yeah, that is where I stand for that. Jim Harbaugh is definitely up there, but I would go Kevin O'Connell, given that they are 11-2. He eventually has to pick the Bucs one day. I know I do hate the Bucs. That has been a running joke, but I think the Bucs are going to enter the playoffs winning 6 of 7. I really do. I think they're going to finish the year 10-7. I think they're going to win the NFC South. So I think the Bucs are going to be fine. All right, let's go. We have a horse game here. We have a small horse versus a big horse. We have Colts Broncos, and this game for Indy is their season. We very much have a playoff game in Week 15, because if Indy loses this, they're done. I mean, they can't fall to 6-8 and then expect to go 9-8 and hopefully sneak in. Not with the Broncos being at 9-5 at that point, and then not with the Chargers being at worst 8-6 through 14 games. That's just not going to happen, and I don't think the Ravens at 8-5 would blow their final 3 games, because I think they're going to kill the Giants this week. So this is a playoff game for Indy. So let's just go ahead and say that this is a playoff game for the Colts. This Broncos team is very good defensively. They're second in points allowed per game. They are coming off of the game in which they just allowed 550 yards to the Browns on Monday night. It was a really, really good game. It was a really fun game to watch. The Broncos secondary is also, let me go ahead and close the poll, by the way. The Broncos defense is also a little banged up. They need Riley Moss back, but I don't think Riley Moss is playing in this game. And the thing with the Colts is, and I've been an Anthony Richardson defender or a believer rather, for a while. I still am. I still think Anthony Richardson can be the guy. But what's been frustrating with the Colts this year is you'll see Anthony Richardson make an insane play, and then he'll follow it up with an interception that you would not want to see a collegiate quarterback make, let alone an NFL quarterback make. And the passes or the misses from AR this year have been not exaggerating. It's usually by an inch or two. It's usually by it's frustrating for the Colts. And my thing is with this game, if the Colts can expose the Broncos defense with Riley Moss out, then they can go on the road and win. Denver's favored by 4 points. They are coming off of a bye. Indy is, of course, like we said, they are 6-7. And it's a playoff game for Indy, and I'm eager to see how they play, also coming off a bye, in what is, you might as well say, Anthony Richardson's first playoff game. I mean, it is do or die with this game for Indy. Now, I'm going to be honest, I trust Vance Joseph more than I trust Anthony Richardson. There's been a lot of connection issues with AR and Adonai Mitchell this year. That has been extremely frustrating. There's also been a drops issue from Adonai Mitchell. I was really, really high on him coming out of Texas last year. I still think he can be a good player, but I think if the Colts lose this game, they're technically not eliminated, although they might as well be. But I am going to go with the Broncos to win this one. Give me the Broncos. Indy can make it close. Agree. I thought you meant AR with Aaron Rodgers. No, AR is Anthony Richardson, the real AR. Playoffs, just trying to win a game. Good reference there. And of course, I'm kidding, by the way, with the AR and Aaron Rodgers. An inch or two makes a big difference. And then this commenter says, just ask my ex-wife. An inch or two is what I've heard makes a big difference, especially on the football field. But let's see here. Football analysis is a Tony believer. I am a Tony Richardson believer. Shout out Tony Richardson, former NFL fullback Tony Richardson. But as a Dolphins fan, do you think we have a chance of sliding into the playoffs? They have to win this week at Houston. That's the big thing. I don't know, man. I would say no. I would say no. And by the way, just before we go to the Keystone Classic, the playoff percent chance of this game, this is like as drastic as it gets for Indy. I think it's like 50% if they win, but if they lose, I think it's down to like 3 or 4%. It's crazy how much of a difference this is for Indy, because if they lose, then they would need like the Chargers or Ravens, one of those, to lose 3 of their final 4 games just to have a chance to get in. So playoff game for Indy. Very excited to see how they play in this one. All right, we have Keystone Classic. All right, let's see here. Is Russ back to being a Hall of Famer? Very, very, very valid question, especially with this game. The thing is that's such a tough. Let's discuss this here. Let's pull up Russ's career real quick. Russ is always going to have the stats, especially in this era. He'll probably finish with 400 touchdowns. Russ is, I'm going to say Russ is Hall of Famer. He's back. I think Russ is. There's multiple seasons over 30 touchdowns. There's like 8 or 9 Pro Bowls in there. I would say Russ is back to Hall of Famer, yes. And especially if they win a playoff game or two and he has a big, true, iconic moment in Pittsburgh, as well as the Super Bowl in Seattle, yes. But if you guys are enjoying the stream, please drop a like. Helps tremendously. And appreciate everyone being in here. Hopefully everybody is having a great Friday. And let's keep the stream rolling. So if you guys are enjoying, please drop a like. All right. Steelers, Eagles. Steelers do not have George Pickens. The Eagles have been notorious for extremely slow starts this year. The Eagles also have a little bit of drama this week. Brandon Graham said basically that he doesn't think Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown are friends anymore, which I thought was... I didn't really like that from BG. I mean, BG's been around the league a long time. He is obviously a veteran. He obviously knows better. And he knows what he was saying. I mean, come on. He's been in the league 15 years. He knows. I thought that was just poorly timed, but we'll see how the Birds respond. Somebody asked, what do you think about the A.J. Brown drama? That's pretty much what I think. It's just frustrating, and I don't think it should have happened the way that it did. But Pittsburgh is coming off of a win over Cleveland, in which they won 27-14, and the Birds are 11-2. And what's crazy with the Birds is they started the year 2-2, and they have won 9 in a row. And they're coming off of a tight win against the Panthers. And I said last week in the weekly recap that I really thought the Birds almost losing that game was beneficial for them because it kind of serves as a loss. It kind of serves as a wake-up call. And Philly didn't play all that great in that game. And they know they were a Xavier Legette drop away from being a 10-3 football team. But I really, really worry about the Steelers in this game offensively without George Pickens. And the Eagles secondary is very good. The Eagles defense is very good. They're, of course, led by Vic Fangio. They are top 5 in several defensive categories, including points allowed per game. Total yards allowed, they are first. They have allowed the second fewest passing yards all year, and they have allowed the 5th fewest passing touchdowns. The Eagles are also first in rushing attempts, rushing yards, rushing touchdowns, and second in yards per carry. With the Steelers' clear number one receiving option out, I don't think Pat Freiermuth is going to be able to carry an offense. I don't think Van Jefferson is going to be able to carry an offense. And I'm going to go with the Eagles to win this game. I think 5 points is a fair line. I think the Pittsburgh can absolutely cover. I wouldn't be surprised if they lose 24-20. But I think the Eagles are going to be back this week, and I think they are going to win. This is going to be a tough game for the Steelers to go on the road at the Link, and the Eagles have 15-2 on their minds. There's no doubt. And again, like I said, I think last week will prove to be beneficial for the Birds, that they almost lost to a very inferior team. So I am going to go with the Birds to win this game. I think this one deserves a poll, by the way. I think this one deserves a poll. So let's go ahead and start a poll. Let's go ahead and put up Steelers at Eagles. But like I said, it very much worries me just from the sheer offensive firepower for the Steelers. Are they going to be able to keep up with the Eagles with no George Pickens? And you might as well say the Eagles are coming off a loss because of last week's game. So I am going to stand on that I do think the Eagles win this game. Najee has a game. Najee is going to have a big game. All right. As a Steelers fan, I think Eagles win. Respect. Let's see here. How do I think Sirianni's situation is after the season this far? Right now, he's fine. If Sirianni can repeat what he's done really since the Browns game, he'll be good. If he can continue what he's done, not just of the fact of like, oh, let's just keep winning. Winning takes care of everything, although it does. But if he can just not, do the clips where he's like, right at the camera and, if everybody could do it, everybody would do it, and just basically bring unneeded attention to the team, then Nick Sirianni will be fine. And if he can, run the team like a CEO approach, like he can and like he has been, he'll be fine. That's the big thing with Sirianni. And he's been doing that, by the way. Over the past 7-8 weeks, I don't know, I know I haven't said it on the channel. I haven't been like excluding Nick Sirianni. I haven't been like purposely not saying it, but he's been doing a great job of doing the CEO approach and, saying the right things and doing the right things. So credit Nick Sirianni where it's due, truly. I didn't even think about that until that comment. Like, great point, whoever said that, by the way. Great point. All right, here we go. This is just an awesome game here. I just love this time of year, man. This is truly the best time of the year. Here we go. Bills, Lions. Let's go ahead and end the poll here. Bills are coming off of a tough loss to the Rams last week. Now, I love the jokes on Twitter especially. And I think ESPN actually had a segment about this. Not going to call out which analyst because I don't know which off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure an analyst on ESPN at one point said that that Josh Allen needed to play better last week to win, and I love those jokes because it's like Josh Allen was the first player ever to have 3 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns in a game, but he needs to play better if the Bills want to win. That's on Josh last week. The defense gave up 44 points. They also gave up a blocked punt. Special teams gave up a blocked punt for a touchdown. But Josh Allen needs to play better if they want to win. This is going to be this is going to be a poll-worthy game, by the way. This is definitely a poll-worthy game. This is going to be just awesome football. You talk about high-level football, potential Super Bowl preview, especially with how the Bills have been playing. The Bills, that was their first loss since back in week 5. That was their first loss in the last 2 months. The Bills nearly went 2 full calendar months without a loss. And, man, the Lions are favored by 2.5. Detroit has won 11 in a row. The Bills had won they had won 7 or 6 in a row last week, or 7 in a row rather. And we have a 10-3 team versus a 12-1 team. I want to pick the Bills to win this game. I really do, especially with how many holes the Lions, or not how many holes, but how many guys the Lions have out. But the Lions defense has, kind of excluding last week, just because of, the 34-31 game against the Packers, with 31 points. But that was the first time all year the Lions allowed 30 or more points. The Lions defense has absolutely stepped up this year. I don't think the Bills are going to have back-to-back games with 40-plus points. I would be very, very surprised by that. This is going to be a good game. Goff can piece up the secondary, says 9K ton. Let's see here. How is Detroit's defense given injuries? They are banged up. That's what also has to be remembered. John says, what the heck happened to the Bills last week? The defense did not step up. And this is going to be... this is my favorite game of the week, man, by far. All right, Lions has a lot of guys coming back this week. Let's go ahead and toss the poll, guys. You know what's coming. By the way, I will give my personal opinion. I don't want to let the poll dictate what I think is going to happen. Here's the deal. I don't bet against the Lions at home. And I know this could very easily be a Super Bowl preview, but I think Detroit's going to win. Detroit is, to me, all year they've been my pick to go to the Super Bowl. It's going to continue. And Detroit knows if they lose this game, the Vikings play the Bears on Monday night, and they could easily improve to 12-2 and tie Detroit at the top of the North. So and then these teams could play in Week 18 for the number 1 seed. So Detroit has every incentive to keep, not that they would quit, but you get what I'm saying. Foot on the throttle for the Lions. Foot on the throttle. All right, let's see here. Both teams playing great, and I would love to see a Super Bowl between them. Go Bills. I agree with everything you just said there. Super Bowl preview. Could Philly beat Detroit? Yes. And for what it's worth, Minnesota could beat Detroit too. They nearly did. They were a first down away late in the fourth quarter from beating the Lions. So I know I've been high on the Lions all year. I don't want this narrative to be that the Lions are unbeatable, because they're not. They won by a field goal last week. They nearly lost last week. They're a very good team. They're a Super Bowl caliber team, but they're not unbeatable. Josh Allen also does have to learn to kick field goals. Good call. I saw a couple of comments with that. High-scoring loss for the Bills. I think I also agree with that, Angelo. I think I also agree with that one. This is going to be a tremendous game, though. I also think there's a chance, and I don't know how much you can actually say weighs into this before the game, but the Bills, a 3,000-plus mile trip from LA back to Buffalo last week. They played 4 full quarters last week. There's games where, not to say that you don't play 4 full quarters, but that San Francisco game a couple weeks ago was not the same as the Rams game last week. There's still a chance the Bills are a little fatigued, not fatigued, but you get what I'm saying. They're just hung over from that game against the Rams. The Lions had an extra couple days off. They're coming off the mini bye. Give me the Lions in this one. Give me the Lions. All right, let's see here. As a Bills fan, I think this game comes down to whether or not the Lions can establish their run game against a suspect Bills run defense. If they can control the clock. 100% agree. But we have a great game here. We have another great game. This may be my favorite week of the year, and I don't often say that. I don't think I've said that at any point now. The 1 o'clock games, there's a couple tough ones like Jets, Jags, Ravens, Giants. There are going to be a couple tough ones to get through, I'll be honest. But, you get to the 4 o'clock and then the night games. It's awesome. Here we go. Packers, Seahawks. Packers favored by 2.5. Green Bay is, they have to be one of the best 9-4 teams the NFL has ever seen. They are a very talented bunch. I saw this stat today because the Packers here's the Packers' 4 losses in 2024. Are you guys ready for this? Because this is an insane stat. They've lost to the Eagles, the Vikings, and the Lions twice. And I forget which team it was, so don't quote me on this. But the Packers' 4 losses have been the teams whose combined record is something like 46-6, which is, it was the best record since some team in 1929. And I forget what the team was called. It was some team that nobody's ever heard of until they see the graphic. It was something wild. And Green Bay's a really good team. They can beat anybody on any given Sunday. They're 3-1 since their Week 10 bye. This is going to be another poll game. We're going to have to toss another poll up for this one. Seattle, on the other hand, is, to me, they're the definition of heating up at the right time. They're an 8-5 team. They're looking really, really good. Good call, Brandon. Jair is indeed out. Jacob says, I think this is a litmus test for Seattle. You beat the Packers and you'll establish yourself as a serious NFC playoff threat. I would also agree with that, Brandon. And Seattle right now is coming off 4 straight wins. They beat the 49ers in a tough game at the end. For the 49ers to lose, it was tough. They've beat the Cardinals in 2 of their past 3 games, and sandwiched in between the Cardinals' wins was a Jets win at MetLife, in which they, and I say with quotations, they allowed 21 points, 7 of which came on a special teams touchdown for the Jets. Seattle, and the reason that I bring that up is because Seattle has not allowed 20 defensive total points since the Rams game back in Week 9, which was before their bye. This is, I mean, guys, I'll say it's a playoff game. There are probably 4 or 5 playoff games this week. This is another one. And I can't wait for this one. When push comes to shove right now, Jair Alexander's out, which is going to be very, very tough for the Packers to overcome. Although Jeff Hafley Jair's been out a lot this year, and the Packers have been all right defensively. They've been a lot better than what they were last year with Joe Barry as their defensive coordinator. They are top 10 in both offensive and defensive points per game. Seattle, I want to pick them to win, but guys, when it comes hell or high water, there's very few games where I'm going to pick against Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur and the Green Bay Packers. Now, I'm going to toss the poll up here because this game is absolutely poll worthy. It is a very, very good game, and I want to see where you guys stand on this one. Green Bay's favored by 2.5 points. The atmosphere at Lumen Field is going to be incredible, but I'm going to see where you guys stand on this one here. All right, let's hear. Me, Super Chat. Appreciate it. My first Super Chat going to you. I have added your videos to my routine in every video with love you too. I appreciate that. That's awesome. That's actually awesome. No, and that's awesome. That's really humbling. I will say, real talk for a minute, like the world's a tough place out there. You know, everybody is always going through something. And, you know, if you hear, like, love you guys at the end, like, you know, hopefully that brightens somebody's day. I mean, clearly it brightens your day. But, you know, there's always somebody going through something. So, you know, in my audience, I know somebody is always going through something somewhere. I mean, you know, I've went through stuff personally. It's just, if you hear love you guys, it makes people's days better. So if you can make somebody's day better, go for it. You know, if you can make somebody's day, especially, you know, holiday season, giving time, make somebody's day. But anyway, I do think the Packers are going to win. The poll has 55% Packers. I love my Seahawks, but I think the Packers will win. Love the most recent rookie video. Appreciate it. I think the Hawks take it 24-20. Jay Love about to throw 2 picks against a McDonald defense. We'll see how that goes. All right. Packers are usually bad in Seahawks Stadium, I believe. Also very valid. Let's go ahead and look up this Packers-Seahawks history. I was going to bring up the Fail Mary. I was going to. Although that was like 12 years ago. But let's look up Packers-Seahawks rivalry. I just want to look at the results. Just give me the results. Just give me the results. They've only played once in the 2020s in which the Packers won. They won 17-0 back in 2021. The last time the Packers won in Seattle was 2008. Which would have been Aaron Rodgers' first year starting. So that was the first time. All right, let's go ahead and go to, I think the Packers are going to win. That's where I stand on that. It's going to be a very, very good game, though. It's going to be, and I can't wait for it, actually. Like, I really genuinely cannot wait for this game. But we're up, baby. We're up. My Vikings are up. We're 11-2. All right, now somebody asked earlier, and hold on. We have a tweet from Adam Schefter. Seahawks are listing Kenneth Walker as doubtful against the Packers. Per Adam Schefter, Kenneth Walker doubtful. So that also plays into kind of the Packers-Seahawks thing. Anyway, so did I miss the Commanders portion? Yes, but I'll go back to that in a little bit. Here we go. Bears-Vikings. The Vikings have won 6 games in a row. They started the year 5-0. They are now... Then they lost 2 in a 5-day span, and they have now won 6 in a row. The Vikings are obviously my favorite team and we're playing great football. Now, somebody asked earlier about the Vikings number 1 seed in the playoffs, and I think they're going to win this game against the Bears. The Bears have a lot wrong with them right this particular second, especially with, they had like 2 yards in the first half last week or 4 yards or whatever. They lost 38-13. That was with an interim head coach. They're a bad football team right this second. I don't think they're going to go into US Bank Stadium on Monday night and win. Personally, especially with an interim coach, especially with how they looked last week. That's kind of how that's pretty much exactly how I feel about the Bears. Like, there's not much more that needs to be said based on how the past couple of weeks have transpired for the Bears. But with the Vikings, what worries me with the Vikings is right now they're 11-2. Their final 4 games are home against Chicago, at Seattle, home against Green Bay, and at Detroit. I will say it. I don't think the Vikings are going to go 15-2 with those final 4 games. And I would rather, and this is going to sound like loser talk, and I said this like about pretty much when the stream started, this is going to sound like loser talk. The Vikings are obviously going to make the playoffs. They have 11 wins. They win one of the final 4, or if somebody loses, they're going to make the playoffs. There's no doubt. But the Vikings bye week was all the way back in week 6. I would prefer the Vikings win this game to clinch the playoffs. If they win and they're in. Lose to Seattle in week 16 and not have to play in Detroit in what will be a playoff game, because that could be for the number 1 seed, and rest your starters in week 18 and not have to worry about it. That's definitely going to be a controversial take, but I would rather rest the starters and then go to the NFC South winner in the wild card round, because I think there would be a very, very good chance if this team lost in Detroit in the week 18, which would already be a playoff game equivalent, then they play another playoff game in a week, and we're talking about the team hasn't had a break since all the way back on October 20th. And you'd be playing 14, 15 weeks in a row. I'd rather give your starters a rest. So I think Minnesota's going to win this game. But that is my take on that. They're not going to win 15 games, but they will beat the Bears this week. Famous last words. Appreciate the super chat. Definitely appreciate the super chat. In 1929, the Packers were in the hunt with the Giants, Cards, and Frankfurt Yellow Jackets and the Providence Steamrollers. I love old football lore. I definitely do too. And that's appreciate the fact. Famous last words. And I would say, or there's actually been times, rather, not I would say, there's been times like in the middle of June when I'm preparing for a video, if I have like 20 minutes free time, I'll just go look up like some 1950s game, and you'll see like the craziest turnover margins. Like a team will turn the ball over 6 times and win, in like the 1956 game between the Lions and Packers, where whoever threw 4 interceptions, finished the game 9 of 27, and they win 13-10. Looking up those old school games is actually hilarious. But Falcons Raiders to be a tie, that would actually be hilarious. Let's see here. Not my Raiders. Our game is so bad they had to put an extra Monday night game just to hide it. Guys, I don't have a lot to say about this game. The Raiders, I'll say this. I'll start it off with what is perhaps the most interesting part about this game. It is a Desmond Ridder revenge game. So, if you want to get crazy with the Desmond Ridder starting in a fantasy playoff game, you can. I'm not going to stop you. The Raiders have lost 9 in a row. They haven't put up 20 points in over a month. They are a bad team. They have 3 double-digit losses in their last 4 double-digit losses in their last 5, actually. I have to be honest. I'm not looking forward to this game. I have a 2 TV setup, so I'll have the Vikings obviously on the main, and then this game over there where I'll just kind of glance and see what's going on. This is a bad game. I'm sorry. It's a bad game. The team's combined records are there. It's 8-18. The Falcons. What'll be interesting is, and what's not going to be talked about, because the Falcons are 6-7 and the Raiders are 2-11. But what will be interesting is you're going to have Kirk Cousins Monday night, which is obviously always discussed. The Falcons were 6-3 at a point. They've lost 4 in a row. And if Kirk Cousins puts up a stinker on Monday night, do we see Michael Penix play and essentially take over? Not play like a snap here or there like he has at points earlier in the year. He played a couple snaps when they were getting blown up by Seattle. And he completed a pass against, I want to say Miami. I might be wrong on that one. He completed a pass against somebody earlier in the year. And Then he played like 4 or 5 snaps at the end of the Seahawks game. But there's a legit chance. This is what I will be looking forward to, or paying most attention to, is if Kirk Cousins stinks, they're on their way to losing their 5th straight game against a 2-11 team, do they turn to Michael Penix on prime time in front of the nation to see? To me, that is the most interesting part about this game. That is the most interesting part about this game. Obviously, this game it's not going to be good. The Raiders have been eliminated for a while. Stoner Cat says I could see this being one of those surprise upset games. I could too with the way the Falcons are playing. I mean, guys, their defense last week was laughably bad. I mean, the Vikings did some dirty dancing on the Falcons last week. I mean, they really turned it up on them at times, like Dan with the dances and everything. I mean, it was pretty disrespectful. I mean, Cam Bynum and Josh Metellus did the Mean Girls. JJ and Addison combined for 5 touchdowns. Aaron Jones had a touchdown at the end. They've given up 38 plus points in 2 of their last 3 games. And the only game they allowed less than 20 points, their quarterback threw 4 interceptions. This is a reeling football team. So what I'm going to be paying attention to is if Michael Penix plays. And ultimately, though, I think the Falcons will win. It's more or less Kirk Cousins, is it fair to say career on the line as a starter? I think that's fair. I think it's very fair to say that this is more or less Kirk Cousins' career on the line, starting career on the line, because he's 36, obviously not a spring chicken. I think it's fair to say. Raider Alex says, I will be at this game. That is cool, Raider Alex. I will say, if you are going, if you don't have tickets yet, use Game Time. Promo code analysis, $20 off your first purchase. What time is it? Game Time. I would definitely recommend using that. $20 off, code analysis, Game Time app. Bro is, let's see here, 8 interceptions and 0 touchdowns the past few games for Kirk. I really think it is fair to say that Kirk Cousins' starting career is on the line in this game. Ultimately, though, I'm going to go with Atlanta to win and get back to 500. And Desmond Ridder beating the Falcons, I don't know, man. Is Kyle Pitts a bust? One good year for a 4th overall pick. I would say not a bust. I would say disappointing. I would not say a bust, though. I would say, I don't like to use the draft bust word for players like Kyle Pitts that have actually like produced. I would more like Trey Lance is a bust, and there's a significant difference between Trey Lance and Kyle Pitts. All right. Let's see here. Raid Shadow Legends sponsorship when they actually hit me up, and I didn't take the sponsorship. There was a lot in that one. I didn't want to do it. I don't play Raid Shadow Legends, and they wanted like videos of me like playing and like, you know, like getting into the game and like, you know, like stuff like that. And it was just like, I'm not in the Raid Shadow Legends. No offense to people that are, it's just not my cup of tea. No, that they hit me up. I declined. Ritter Revenge game is here. We'll see. By the way, if you are new to the streams, after we discuss every game, we just have like a Q&A. And if you missed your team, like, comment, and we can just quickly briefly go over it. Let's see here. What is the difference with Pitts and Lance? If you're talking like production, a lot. I mean, Pitts was a 1,000-yard tight end. Pitts was the 2nd tight end ever to be a 1,000-yard tight end in his rookie year. Brock Bowers will be the 3rd, by the way. But it was Mike Ditka and Kyle Pitts. And, I mean, even if you have one productive season, Trey Lance is an all-time bust. 3 first-round picks traded up for him. Traded before his 3rd year for a 4th-round pick. There's a big difference between Trey Lance and Kyle Pitts. Let's see here. You should get the BMW sponsorship like Shannon Sharp has on Nightcap. I don't think you can tell. So I did meet. This is a picture of Shannon Sharp right here. And I'm actually gonna take a picture off the wall. So right here, I did meet Shannon. I was pretty excited. I'm in the purple. And then Shannon's in the white there. If you couldn't tell. Yeah. So I did meet him. He's a cool dude. Met him at a meet and greet. And yeah, no, I would not be opposed to that. If anybody has any connections, I would not be opposed to that type of sponsorship. Famous last words, Raiders elevated Carter Bradley. Oh, that's interesting. That is very interesting. Okay. That would be Carter Bradley over Desmond Ridder. We'll see. Let's see. I thought you. No, I'm not. I was not in the. No, that was not me. I'm glad I could clarify. Thoughts on Darnell Mooney for fantasy football Monday night? Mooney's been good this year. Mooney's been really good. I would be fine with playing Darnell Mooney in the playoffs. Rookie of the year prediction. I think it'll be. Oh, good question. I think it'll be Jaden Daniels. I think it'll be Jaden. Let's see here. What do you think about MHJ? In the long run, I think he's fine. I like MHJ a lot. I think he is far too good of a prospect to not be a consistently good player. He's the best player I've ever evaluated. I had him as my number one player in the class. Obviously, if I said he's the best player I've ever evaluated. No, he's awesome. I think MHJ is fine. I know it's been a tough rookie year at times, but the flashes there have been far too high for me to think that he's just going to flame out. Like, he's fine. Commanders game prediction. Let's see here. They should beat them comfortably. Like, very, very comfortably. Will the Lions beat the Bills? I think they will. Yes, I have the Lions beating the Bills. I do have the Lions beating the Bills. Sorry, John Wick. We've went over the games. It was good. I mean, we're still just having a Q&A now. We're still just chatting away on a Friday. Is the Allen Mahomes rivalry the new Manning Brady? It can be. The problem is right now, and it's tough for Josh Allen right now because Mahomes is 3-0 in the playoffs, and he also has 3 Super Bowls to 0. So that's tough for Josh to overcome right now. But it can be. It absolutely can be. And I hope it is. I really, really hope it is. Smash that like button if you're digging the stream. Good call. Good call, Savalia. Good call. Let's see here. How cooked are my 49ers? I mean, in the long run, I think they're going to be fine. Like, for the situation. I know I just did a video on them last week regarding that I have a lot of concerns with their future. And I do to a degree, but their situation is unique because bad for them is they're still probably going to go 10-7. They're still probably going to go 11-6. At minimum, or at worst, probably be a wild card. Not this year, because this year is just extreme, just with a lot of things. So 49ers this year it's over, but 2025 I think they'll get back to the playoffs. I really do. All right, let's see here. Did I see AJ Brown commented on what BG said about him and Hurts? Daniel, I did. I saw your comment earlier about that, like, him and Hurts are cool, and that the whole thing is just, I just don't like the whole thing. Why would BG say it? Why? I mean, does BG want attention now that he's hurt? Like, what is, the whole thing is just really weird. And if it is that he just wants attention, that's kind of weird, I have to be honest. But even if there's truth to it, then, I mean, AJ would never come out and say, like, yeah, I don't like him. He's a bad quarterback. So there's a lot of angles to that. It is a really odd move by BG, 100%. I don't know how you would say it. It's not. Let's see here. Colston Loveland or Tyler Warren? I saw this question earlier. I am a big Tyler Warren guy. I just think he is made for today's NFL. I like him a lot. But Colston, I mean, they're both really good prospects. I think you're going to be fine either way. And this tight end class, I can't wait, guys. I cannot wait to make videos about this tight end class. This tight end class is, like, I can't wait. Colston Loveland, Tyler Warren, Harold Fannin, Oscar Delp, Gunnar Helm. I can't wait. I love this tight end class. Love it. Let's see here. Hardy made sweet love to the like button. Good call. Good call. Tyler Warren to the Colts. I actually tweeted that today. I think he is a Colt. I think he will be a Colt. It makes too much sense for the Colts. The Colts have had next to zero production from the. I mean, the Colts tight end room over the past couple of years has been frustrating. I think they had like one really good year from Mo Alley Cox, and after that, it's just. I mean, I wanted Jelani Woods to work out. It just didn't. I mean, I know injuries have obviously played a part in that. By the way, let me re-clarify that or discuss that. But it's just been frustrating. All right, let's see here. Cowboys select Ashton Genty. They definitely should. Now it's a difference between not having great running backs and then entering the year with Rico Dowdle and Zeke Elliott and expecting that to work, which I thought was a recipe for failure. Ashton Genty to me right now is a Cowboy. To me right now. Let's see here. Got to go to the Night of Champions for the Colts. Excited to see Peyton doesn't hate us. I'm going to be honest. I don't know what that is. It sounds interesting, though, so let me know what that is. Let me know what that actually does. Maybe that's something I just didn't see. Maybe it's really popular. I just didn't see it. What is the Night of Champions? It's obviously what it is. Like, it should be a Super Bowl 41, like, reunion, if you will. But that sounds really fun. And if you are going in Indy, definitely make sure to hit up Elmo's on your way. On your way. Hit up Elmo's. Genty is a Viking, I'd be fine with that. Will Campbell, you are a Chicago Bear. To be honest, I don't think he's going to last that long. We'll see. Do you think the lack of O-line talent in the draft is a real issue, or is it overblown? No, there's not that much offensive line talent this year. I mean, there's players that I like, don't get me wrong, but it's not a deep offensive line class. So it's definitely for sure. It's definitely for sure. Elmo's is fire, 100%. It is. To be honest, I have a video coming out next week. I recently partnered with the NFL back in September, and I want to be able to work it in where I go to the combine and get on the field and do all that. That's definitely a bucket list. I have a couple bucket list things that's definitely up there, and if I could somehow swing that, NFL, if you're listening, that's definitely on the bucket list for sure. Let's see here. Yeah, Indy's a great city to visit, though. Am I from Indy? No, I'm from Maryland. I am from Maryland. But I would definitely fly out. If they said, like, hey, like, we can get you to go to the combine, snap of a finger, I'm flying out. Like, the content would be awesome. It would be a once in a lifetime. You'd have to. I mean, you'd have to. What would my 40 time be? I'd probably hope for like a 5.7. Hopefully. Contrary to Ladd McConkey, I am not sneaky fast. I am not fast. I am slow. Maybe because I'm only 170 pounds, maybe I'm sneaky slow. I'm not sneaky fast at all, though. Let's see here. Let's go Lions, okay? Best quarterback in the class, I am a Cam Ward guy. But I think Drew Aller has the highest ceiling. Where would I rank the Addison and Jefferson duo? One or two, for sure. Smitty's kind of had a down year for the Eagles. Kind of. I would say Jefferson or Chase and Higgins. Is this my full-time gig? Yes, it is. Yes, sir. I hope they do that for you, my guy. You're a great YouTuber. I appreciate that, Brian. Thank you. Appreciate the support. I have a fun question. What is the best dynasty? The Akron Pros of the 1910s, the Browns of the 50s. I'm just going to be honest. I would say Patriots. I'm going to say Patriots on that one. I just feel like the relevance. It's got to be Patriots. How tall are you? 5'10". 5'10", 170. Sneaky slow. Let's see. Somebody asked, where was it? Oh, Maryland, but a Vikings fan? Yes. Old man grew up Vikings fan, grew up in the prime of the 70s. And when I was 6 years old, made the decision to follow. And it's looking good right now. There's been a lot of down years, but it's looking good right now. I did go to college, baby. Yes, sir. Shout out Rams. Shout out Shepherd, baby. Business, baby. Business admin. Obnoxious slow. I kind of like that. I kind of like that. How can I be slow at 170? I'm not fast. I don't have foot speed. What do you want me to say? I'm sneaky slow. I'm just not. I just don't pick them up and put them down. I mean, I go to the gym and I work out every day. I'm just not fast. I'm just not fast. I don't have it. I'd be interested to see what the 40 time is, though. I'd definitely be interested to see. Sanders' accuracy and is great under pressure. He will succeed in the NFL. We'll see. I mean, I can't wait to dive into the Shador tape as well. There's going to be a lot. There's just a lot right now going on behind the scenes. Good things, that I'll say. Good things. But there's going to be legit prospect breakdowns that I can't wait for this, like in the March. In February, March, I can't wait to Cam Ward's going to be a good one. Shador will be one. Probably do Abdul Carter as well. Tyler Warren will be another fun one. I can't wait. Who does Cincy draft? It has to be defense, right? Yes. To be honest, Cincy, I don't care who they draft, just defense. Defense. It doesn't matter. I don't care. Defense. That's who it is. Unless, maybe the only stipulation I would say is if, like, Tyler Warren falls to them. That would be the only one where I'd be like, okay, maybe. Let's see here. Am I going to do a Travis Hunter film analysis? I would say probably not, just because there's so much to cover, and I don't know. Like, I think Travis should be a corner in the NFL with receiver packages, and I mean, he's obviously, like, not just Travis Hunter, but no player is going to play 160 snaps a game in the NFL. Like that, like your body is not going to hold up over a 17-game season. Like if there's ever been a reasoning to use, it's just not. It's just no player's body is going to hold up that with that many snaps and hits. And so no, I think Travis Hunter should be a corner with receiver packages. You know, he plays 15, 20 snaps a game on offense. That's feasible. Tristan, appreciate the super chat. As always, hope you're doing well. Vikings will win. Lions will lose. They're due. I as a Vikings fan, I hope you're right. Thoughts on Josh Pascal? Overall, underwhelming. Thought he was going to be a better player. I thought he had a higher floor than what we've seen from him. But Josh Pascal was a player I liked out of Kentucky, and I love players that are, you know, power rushers because generally they have a high floor at minimum. I thought Pascal was going to be like a 6 to 8 sack a year guy. Put him behind Hutch. I thought there was pretty good potential there. He's just been disappointing. Let's see here. What was the next one I wanted to go to? How long have I been live? An hour and 20 minutes. An hour and 20 minutes. An hour and 20 minutes. Do I think James Cook will do good against the Lions? I think he'll do better than what he did again. Yeah, I think James Cook will do reasonably fine. NFL long snappers, the job to have good pay, little work? Definitely. Definitely. Although that's high pressure job because you mess up once, you're gone. Because they can just replace you at the snap of a finger. I mean, truly. Let's see. I think Trav is probably going to be like Marcus Jones, but Trav will be an elite corner. Yeah, Travis will be Marcus Jones on steroids. Big time. Big time. What's Evan Ingram's next step? I wouldn't be surprised if he's released. I mean, Evan Ingram is going to probably be out of the league in the next couple of years. We'll see, though. Right now, I mean, he's just basically like a big receiver. Evan Ingram is... I think he's gone. We'll see, though. 24-hour streaming coming. I mean... Did you guys watch the weekly? And if you didn't, I'm not offended. But if you watched the weekly recap last week, the voice was gone. So no 24-hour streaming coming. Gotta. This is actually funny. I gotta protect the moneymaker. Gotta protect the vocal cords. Gotta protect it. Do I think J.J. Watt should have won the 2014 MVP? Yes, I was a junior in high school and I was hot that Aaron Rodgers won a second MVP because I thought J.J. should have. That was such a fun year. I know the Texans stunk, obviously, but JJ was just a beast. I mean, he had several offensive touchdowns as well. I thought JJ should have won that year, though. Sirianni's hair was too long for the Panthers game. Needs to shave it again. Sign language stream. I know this means I love you. I don't know actually much else, to be honest. Football analysis subathon. I mean, yeah, if you guys aren't subscribed to the channel already, subscribe. It would be very much appreciated. We are closing in on 175. Weekly recap last week was most impressive feat I've seen in sports. I was going to make a joke about like gritty football performances, like Phillip Rivers finishing the game on a torn ACL. Like I was going to rank them too, like Phillip Rivers torn ACL, me powering through the weekly recap. And then at number 1, Ronnie Lott cutting off the tip of his finger to play in the Super Bowl. I was going to like rank mine just below that. I didn't. I was going to, but I didn't. Let's see here. Could the Raiders trade the first pick to the Jags for Trevor Lawrence? The Jags would not do that. No. And here's why. It's not a bad thought just because, I mean, it's plausible, but no. The Jags wouldn't do it because the lure of the Jags job is going to be with Trevor Lawrence. It's not going to be with Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. It's going to be with Trevor Lawrence. So it's that's going to be they wouldn't do that. I mean they could, but it's not going to happen. Let's see, J.J. Watt or T.J. Watt. I think T.J. Watt actually has more sacks now. I think he passed him. Or let me confirm. It's really close. I think This take on the Watt brothers is fair. I think JJ had a more dominant peak. I mean, JJ, for anybody who may not remember, I mean, JJ had 3 defensive players of the year in 4 years. I mean, JJ went 20 and a half sacks at 23 years old. He had 20 and a half sacks at 25 years old, and then he had 17 and a half sacks at 26 years old. I mean, the 3 DPOYs in 4 years is just, I mean, it's top of the peak-esque. Like, it is up there with any peak ever. It's up there. I would JJ peak, TJ definitely longevity. At least that's what it's looking like. I mean, but JJ, Unfortunately, I mean, he had, 2019, he only played 8 games. Well, the injuries really started in 2016. He had 3 games, then 5 games, then 16 games, then 8 games, 16 games, 7 games, and then he finished with a good 12 and a half sack season at 33 years old. I do miss JJ. I do miss JJ playing big time. And JJ's actually, you can see him right here. I actually forgot that I had JJ. No, he's one of my favorite players ever. Just all around, just great dude. Obviously a phenomenal football player. But yeah. All right. JJ was also a red zone receiving threat indeed. Ben Johnson, the next Cowboys head coach. I just can't imagine he would go there. I would not want to go there if I were Ben Johnson. Why would you leave Detroit for Dak Prescott, an unknown run game, an offensive line you're going to have to replace maybe 2 players? There's a lot of holes in the Cowboys roster. All right, Sammy, my boy, who do you think the Steelers should play in the playoffs? Who do I think they should? I'm assuming you mean who would I want them to play for them to have a better chance to win? I would not want to play the Ravens in the first round of the playoffs. I know Lamar has not like great moments against the Steelers, but I would not want to play the Ravens in the first round. So I would say your best bet if you're a Steelers fan in the first round of the playoffs. I feel like you have to be hoping for a rookie Bo Nix. That's what you want him on the road. You want him in an uncomfortable situation. You do not want Justin Herbert or Lamar Jackson in the first round. If you can avoid those two and get Bo Nix, I feel like that's the answer to that. All right. I also really miss Luke Kuechly. I do too. Great dude. Another great guy. Luke was awesome as well. Who would be a good fit for the Bears head coach? That is the one where I think if Ben Johnson goes anywhere, I think he would go to Chicago. It's a great situation from the player standpoint. I mean, you have Caleb Williams, you have Rome, you have DJ. The offensive line needs a little bit of tweaking, but they can fix it, not rather easily, but I mean, they can fix it. I think the Bears make a lot of sense for Ben Johnson. I think Ben Johnson going anywhere, I think Chicago would be the place. I really do. That may be a hot take, but that's where I stand on that. Oh, love this comment here. I'm assuming you knew, Lil McMuffins, that I'm a big Herbert fan. But Justin Herbert did give up 30 points in the second half of a playoff game. I mean, like, when the Chargers get to the playoffs this year, Justin Herbert wants to win. He's got to play better defense. He has to. I mean, he has to play better defense. It's unfortunate, but he has to play better defense. Let's see here. Eagles apparently approval to sell 8% ownership for a maximum $8.3 billion valuation. You think they're trying to make a new stadium? I would imagine the Link is 20 plus years old now. The Link is a beautiful stadium, though. It's a great stadium. I know the Sixers they're like looking at downtown for a new stadium, or I think it's called like Center City is where they're looking within the city of Philadelphia. But right now the Link, Wells Fargo, and Citizens Bank are all Philly fans. You guys obviously know they're all in that triangle, if you will. I don't know what Philly's plan would be, but I don't know. The Link, I feel like it's a little too early for the Link to be replaced. I feel like it should be like 30 plus years old, and it's not only, but it's like 22 years old. I think 20 or 22 years old. I think it should be like another 5 or 10 years. But that is going to wrap up today's stream. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and there will be a new video out tomorrow, 10 a.m. AFC South. There's a lot of concerns that I have with that division in the future. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the Week 15 preview. And if you are not already, please subscribe to the channel. Helps the channel tremendously. And we are closing in on 175,000. Hopefully we hit it. It's not going to be by the end of the weekend, but I think we'll definitely hit it by Christmas. We'll see, though. It's, we have 12 days to hit it. We'll see. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. Does Tom Brady football ownership affect the Raiders head coach? I don't think so. Short answer, I don't think so. I love the Link, planning on going to the Eagles-Giants game in January. Use code analysis on game time. $20 off your first order. And that'll wrap it up. Can we call you Gare Bear? Been called it before in real life. I mean, in reality, I'm not going to do anything. So, sure, yes, you can. But I'll see you guys later. Be safe. Have a great day. Love you guys.